Hi everyone. Guess what? We decided to do a mini pod. Stephen Kennedy actually is in a swing state and he's giving his play by play of what's happening as he voted. All right, let's jump right in. Hi everyone, this is Robbie and we're doing a mini podcast today. Um we're back, same week, same day. And we're talking to Stephen about his experience voting in a swing state. Stephen?
Hello, my friends. It is I, Stephen Kennedy, your number one board certified atheist at your service. I still, I still don't understand why you laughed at this. I told you I want everyone to be informed. Okay, you just laugh. You just laugh. That's fine. That's
I
fine.
know, I laugh
I
because
feel like you're attacking my being.
I'm not attacking your being. It's just because I know you, so it just cracks me up every time you say it. Anyway, so tell the audience, what was it like? You sent me that picture. The line
Yeah,
was ridiculous. So what's going on?
it
On
was
the
ridiculous.
ground.
So I just so everyone, our listeners know the context. I am in a swing state, um, and there's a lot of energy here. There's a lot of motivation to vote here, right? And so I went yesterday to do my early voting, and because there's so much energy going on around here that I just don't want to take the risk of being stuck in a 5 hour line on November 5th.
Okay,
So
so yesterday is November 2nd, which
yeah,
would have been Saturday, right?
yeah,
Because the podcast comes out on November 5th. So I just want to make sure
yes, sorry, yes.
you know. Okay. Wow. So
And
you're
so on
voting
November 2nd,
Saturday.
on Saturday, November 2nd, I went twice, and the lines were so long, I thought, let me try Sunday morning. The first thing, this was late afternoon. I thought, let me get there right when the doors open at
Mhm.
8:30 a.m. on Sunday, and that of course did not happen because we're talking about Sunday 8:30 a.m. It's just not happening. I'm not going to be in line to, you know. So I got there mid afternoon. Uh, there was a long line, even longer than it was yesterday. So uh, ended up spending 2 hours in line to vote. Um, but you know what? It was actually energizing for everyone. Everyone was very excited. There was a lot of positive energy.
Mhm.
Um, and what I like about this, specifically for my preference, is that there's such a huge early voter turnout, and typically based on historical data, that's good for Democrats. So um, I was in line chatting with all the people around me, and
Mhm.
everyone was very talkative, very excited, and very pro Kamala, very pro Democrat. Now, of course, this is just one area, right? I understand that,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
that kind of goes along with the idea that early voters benefit tend to benefit Democrats. It's more Democrat voters. So that was it was a interesting long line, and what I didn't expect was people to be so open about their what who they're going to be voting for, and it was a mix of men and women, uh, all nationalities, all races. So it was a completely mixed crowd, all genders, all races, all
All
ethnicities.
genders. You mean just male and female, right?
Well, no, I mean more than just male, female.
Okay. All right. That's
Yeah,
fine.
all genders. You see that I'm being very
You're
politically, or some, I'm being politically correct, or some may call it not politically correct. That's
I hey, that's a whole nother conversation for me.
that
I
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm not gonna go there. But you know where I'm going. Okay, so did you run into any people who were Trump voters in the line?
I did not. No, not that I'm sure there were, but the people that were around me, then the
Mhm.
people that I talked to were not Trump voters.
Okay. Did you sense that there were people that maybe were just listening that could have been Trump voters and didn't want to chime in because they felt uncomfortable?
No, you know what? I did not get that feeling because people were very relaxed and open
Hmm.
talking to each other. So it was like I said, I was surprised at the experience because I was expecting with all this, uh, there's a lot of fear going around. There's a lot of
Yep.
threats. I expected people to be much more uh,
Scared?
closeted, scared, yeah, and not very open to communicating about who are they going to be voting for and what's their party affiliation, right? So I was surprised that everyone is very, and I think it had to do with the fact that uh, somehow we knew we were in good company.
Interesting, interesting. Be interesting to see what it's like tomorrow and on Tuesday. The other thing is, I think it's pretty interesting that one, it was just so long of a line, and two, you're not in a state where they ban water, right? Because some of these swing states, if it gets hot out there and you're standing out there forever, you cannot like.
I was not aware of this. No, I was
Yes,
not.
you cannot bring someone water, like in the state.
What do you mean you can't? What do you
I
mean by
mean,
that?
in the state of Georgia, if you were out there waiting, and before people were out there, I guess the last few elections, waiting in certain polling places for hours, and people would drive up and bring them water so that they wouldn't like faint
Uh-huh,
or, feel uncomfortable. Well,
uh-huh.
they banned that. So you can't drive
Why?
up and give somebody water in the line if there's.
Why? Why?
I don't know why they did that, but they did it.
Sounds like Republicans at work.
Why do you have to
Sounds
say?
like a typical GOP stunt.
Oh goodness. Okay, even if I just think that those are just whack people. Not all. I don't think all Republicans believe that you should have water to drink when you're.
I've got to look this up. You're not messing with me. You're serious.
No,
Okay,
no. But that's how ludicrous it is. Look it up. It's something
okay,
they passed in the state of Georgia.
okay, okay.
I wish that I was just having one of my moments of humor on the podcast, but this is actually true.
I do want to say that because of the such a huge early voter turnout
Hmm.
over the last few days, um, my buddies, my GOP buddies,
Hmm.
and I have several,
Yes,
unfortunately.
you've said
Uh,
this.
yeah, so I've been talking to them over the last few days, and they have definitely they are a little afraid right now because they know what early voters mean when there's a big turnout. So they've calmed down with their Trump enthusiasm. They're kind of sitting back and not really being very boisterous about pro-Trump. All the pro-Trump dialogue. So it's interesting. They're just kind of sitting back now. Usually, they're very, very.
Boisterous.
Oh yeah, yeah. They love voicing their pro-Trump. Pro-Trump ideas.
Okay, so I
So
have a question about them. Do you Are they the people, because this is something too that's been out there, that's saying that a lot of people, particularly males who are pro-Trump, might be good at like saying it and saying it on Twitter and getting in people's faces, but are they really going to go and stand in line for 2 hours and vote for him?
and this is a big thing that's been an issue for them in years past, right? A lot of Republican people that are registered as Republicans or that claim to be pro GOP, they talk a lot, but the problem is getting them off their couch and getting them to the polls. So there may be a huge number of people that are pro Trump, but a lot of them just aren't going to get out there and vote.
Do you feel like that's going to be some of your friends? Do you think that they're actually going to go and vote though?
My friends will vote. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
They have voted or they're going to vote.
Okay,
They've
got
already voted or they're going to vote. Yeah. So they don't fall into that category, but they're the problem in the past has been with them is that they can't get these people out to vote.
it. It'll be really interesting to
Yeah.
see, particularly given how long the lines are.
Yeah, that's a huge deter that's definitely gonna be a huge deterrent, especially for people that don't wanna get to the polls in the first place. If you motivate them and finally get them off their couch and to the poll, they're gonna see the line and be like, "Sorry, I'm going back home."
Right? Okay, so here's the other thing that I was just reading. And again, this is the crazy part about all of this stuff. You just don't know what's real and what's not anymore. And I really hate this age of disinformation where there's one thing that says one thing and another thing that says the opposite thing. So you don't really know what is real and what is not. But one of the things that was out there, it seemed like fairly legitimate stores, was saying that, the whole Puerto Rican garbage comment,
Mhm.
that roaster comedian,
Yeah.
Trump's come out and said he didn't know him and all this, and he said that he didn't really mean that. Well, they're saying that these Puerto Rican and Latino groups that have gone out and been going out and trying to knock on doors and getting people to vote, they've been like, I'm not going to vote. I don't really care. But after that, they've been like, fuck that shit.
Wow.
Basically, and I quote, fuck that shit. I'm voting. Where's my polling station? Where's my polling place?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's
So Puerto Ricans are angry. And there's like 500,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania.
yeah, that's amazing. That's
But I
amazing.
don't know. I mean, like, these are just like, again, I want to be clear. There's certain outlets that are reporting this, and then there's others that are not, right? So we won't really know what's going to happen until the day of. And then
Yeah.
there's a lot of people too. There are saying that there are a lot of people who are early Republican voters this year, which is different. And so the GOP is getting excited about that because they have more registered Republicans who have early voted than they've ever had.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So
Interesting.
this is definitely coming down to the wire. Like I said to you guys before, or maybe I didn't say this. I don't know if I'm going to watch anything on fucking Tuesday. I might just be watching
Oh, I'm
Hulu.
watching.
I might just
I
be
am I
watching
am
Hulu.
popping the corn and I am watching all the drama unfold.
Oh my
Um, and
God.
like, yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. And then of course, we're gonna have the standard, insurrection, etc., etc. That's to come and
I'm not.
after that.
That's the other thing. I'm not looking forward to this violent crap. Like I just wish people we are not why are we acting more and more like a banana republic? We are not. This is supposed to be a free and fair democracy where there
Supposed
is
to,
a peaceful transfer of power. Now people are like the guns are going to come out because why do they
right,
need to?
right,
Like really? Do they
yeah.
really need to come out?
But based on what we've seen in the past, these
Yes.
people just like they don't show up to the polls to vote after they complain so much and spew so much, violent and hateful things. Just like that, we've seen in the last couple of instances where Trump tried to scare us that, oh, well, people are going to come support me. If I get convicted, this is going to happen. None of that happened, right?
That's true.
So he actually likes to think he has more control over the public than he actually does. Now, of course, he does have a very, very strong influence, very strong hold on a lot of people, but
Yeah, he has a
there
tremendous
is a limit. Thank goodness that uh, he's always hoping that people are going to do horrible things with weapons, but it never quite turns out. Remember, I don't know if you recall, but he was threatening that all sorts of things would happen if he was convicted, and no one turned out. No one. None of that came true. So just like that, I think these are empty threats that, oh, we're going to pull out the guns, and now it's gonna there will be an attempt, but by Trump to rally people like last time, and there will be, but I don't think it's gonna go as far as a civil war.
well, we shall see. And everyone,
What do you
that's
think?
the end of our no, I think that before we end, because this is a mini pod, so we're really close to 15.
Ah, yes.
Um, Before we end, I'll just say my perspective is I don't know. I'm concerned about it happening, but to your point, it may just be a whole lot of talk. and no action. And I hope that that ends up being the case. Because again, this is supposed to be a peaceful transfer of power, people. You know, you vote for who you vote for, and that person wins, and that's it. Like, let's knock it off with all the craziness. Um,
And who
so
are you voting for? I forget.
oh my God, we already had this conversation in the
Did
last
you?
podcast.
Oh,
I'm not sharing that. That's
right, right, right.
my personal prerogative of me being able to keep my vote secret, and
Right.
I can do that. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for joining this mini pod. 15 minutes. We're a little over, but that's okay. This was great. Stephen, thank you for doing this and giving the audience your take on what it's like right now, voting in a swing state in real time. And everyone, thank you for listening to our mini pod of Miscellaneous Candor, frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken.
Thanks,
We will
everyone.
be back.